Two monster films, both reimagining the same source material, both dropping in the same cultural moment, but from two radically different directorial perspectives. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein and Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. And I'm telling you right now, it's not a competition, it's a conversation. Welcome to Parallel Frequencies. I am just Blane, she is Coco, and you are the freaks. What is up, Coco? I'm excited about today's show.
Yeah. Been a minute. Where you been? What you been doing?
It's been crazy. It's summertime hit. There's no need to keep with schedules. There's no need to even plan to do anything. So Parallel Frequencies, we'll just say this right now. Who knows what's going to happen this summer? We may miss days.
Structure, and then we can just blow that structure right out of the water and do whatever we want.
Yeah, but we're going to just, have a fun summer. That's what we're going to do. Have a fun summer. But it's been chaos so far. We've missed the last couple of days. I don't even think the schedule is going to be out anymore. So we're just going to surprise people with what we're going to talk about. Because literally, that's what this one was. This was not on our docket, our schedule, our radar. It's been on our radar for a minute, I guess. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But
for sure,
you
when I
literally
saw the trailer,
me.
I thought, this is one I'm not going to miss.
Yeah, but you literally texted me last night. You're like, hey, I watched The Bride. And then this morning, you're like, hey, let's talk about The Bride and Frankenstein together.
Yes.
So that's what we'll do today. I wanted to know, though, what are you watching? What are you watching these days, Coco? You watch anything new?
I wouldn't have much time. Otherwise, I don't know how I found the time, but I just happen to be, you know how one thing you're watching ends and then you're like, I'm not ready to turn the TV off, so let's find something else. Yeah. So I was actually watching the Crash documentary on
Netflix.
And then I switched over to Max and ended up watching the first season. I'm part of the way through the first season of The White Lotus.
Ooh, okay. Now hold on now, because
I have to apologize to everybody who's already been on this bandwagon, because it's like 3 or 4 seasons in and I am just now starting it. And everybody's going to be like, where you been?
Now, what is it about shows like this? Like, this is a huge show. This is... Yeah. People that don't watch this know what this show is. They've heard of it. But what is it that keeps us? Because I haven't watched it yet, and I don't know. Let's figure this out. Let's talk about this. Freaks chime in. What keeps us from watching these big name shows until they're 2, 3, 4 seasons deep? What is it?
I am trying to figure that out psychologically. I'm trying to ask myself, a little self-reflection, if you will. Yeah. And like, what is it about this show? Because it has all the ingredients of everything that I would have liked. And it's not the first show that I've done this with. I know who's in it. I know I love them. Jennifer Coolidge, Steve Zahn. I don't know what it is about him, but I'm a huge Steve Zahn fan. I think he's the funniest guy ever. And he's also not bad looking. So I like Steve Zahn. I got a crush on him. But what is it about shows like this that you're like, clearly I'm hearing about it everywhere. Everybody who's seen it loves it. Why don't I give it a chance until like way late? And then I'm like, yeah, let's just turn it on. I'm bored.
There are lots of shows like that. And it's almost like if you didn't get in when they were premiering, then it's like you miss out on that initial burst. And you're too late by the time season 2 is out. So you're like, these people, they got their own conversations going. I also think, this might be a little controversial here, but I also think that the fans of specific shows keep other people from wanting to watch them. Hear me out. I think it's this fandom that might go past the levels of fandom, and it might scare some people away. I'm going to tell you right now, I've never watched Doctor Who. I'm intimidated. I am intimidated to watch Doctor Who because of the fandom that's been built around it. And I'm not saying there's gatekeepers out there keeping me from watching it. There's something intimidating about some of these shows that have built up this huge legacy before I've even seen it. There's another one on my radar, From. This show on MGM Plus, From. I'm a huge Lost fan, and this thing's got Lost vibes all over. It's even got one of the guys from Lost in it, playing the main character. And this thing I hear is incredible, but I cannot bring myself to watching it. I don't know why. Yeah. And I know it's right in my ballpark for what I like to view, So I don't know. I think it is. I think it's a mix of all that stuff. Coco, what are you thinking? What do you think over there? You think that makes sense?
I feel you on the Doctor Who, because I know some Doctor Who fans that are just like,
oh yeah,
all out. And I don't doubt that it's probably a great show. I probably would get really into it, but maybe I'm a little bit afraid that I won't be as into it as they are, and therefore I don't deserve to be a fan or something. You know, like you have to be like all in or not enough. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of that. But I have kept myself with my head buried in the sand just enough to not know how season 1 of The White Lotus ends. So at this very moment, I don't know what's going to happen, and that's what keeps me going. I'm at midnight last night, knowing I had to get up early this morning, and I was still like, just one more episode. I just want to see how this turns out. Just one more.
I'm going to have to check that show out because they're 3, 4, 5 seasons deep now, I think. So I'm going to have to make sure I get on that bandwagon finally. But we've been to cons and FanX and all these places where these fandoms converge. And I'm not trying to say that they're not friendly. That's not it at all.
No.
Like, it's just intimidating. I think it's intimidating to get into it would be like somebody of my age never seen Star Wars, anything, and all of a sudden they want to jump in. That's overwhelming. That's a lot. You know, that's a lot.
That. And are you the type of person that if you saw a young person wearing a Nirvana t-shirt, you'd be like, you can't wear that shirt. You don't know who Nirvana is. Like, are you one of those? Or is it like, be a fan in whatever capacity you want to be?
Yes, I think look, I've seen the kids around the neighborhood wearing the Nirvana t-shirts. Me and my wife even saw them. We were walking around the other day, and Lindsay, she looked at me, she's like, I bet they can't name 3 Nirvana songs. I'm like, yeah, it's true. It's true, but
probably
I don't have a problem with it because I think it keeps the culture alive too. I think it's, even if you don't know, there could be people out there soon wearing I'm a Freak shirts and never heard this show, Parallel Frequencies, at all. You know, but that's what I'm looking at. And it builds. If
they were wearing it, I'd be thrilled. So
yeah, but it builds culture. Yeah. And would you have a problem of somebody wearing a I'm a Freak shirt that doesn't listen to our show?
Nah.
No.
Not at all. I'd be
not at
honored.
All. We brought up some good stuff here. I think we've done a full show already, so we'll wrap this thing up. No, I'm kidding. Let's get to
do it.
Movie Monday, Trophy Tuesday. It's something. Today's a day, okay? But let's acknowledge something right off the bat. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein in 1818. She was 19 years old. 19 years old. We are still mining that story for new meaning 200 years later. Over 200 years later. That should tell you something about the depth of what she created right there off the top. It's not just a monster story. It never was. It was about creation and abandonment. About who gets to define what's human. About the cruelty of being brought into a world that doesn't want you. All of those things come together. Does it sound familiar to you out there? Still going on now.
There are a million different angles and sides and themes. And yeah, Mary Shelley, the mother of science fiction. I know there's probably a lot of debate on that, and I'm sure there are people that could pull some sort of random literature from earlier and say, well, what about this? Isn't this science fiction? Yeah. But can we really think of anything that has quite the impact that Frankenstein has had? And, you know, before then, the genre of science fiction really wasn't even a thing. I mean, they had some basic, you know, there's horror and there's romance. But then there's this whole new element that comes with Frankenstein that, yeah, it brings about this whole moral questioning into it. And, I can't wait to get into it because The Bride.
Yes. Woo! Maggie Gyllenhaal crushed it with that movie. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I want to tell you right now the reason that Frankenstein and The Bride counts too. When we say Frankenstein, we're counting all of this because it's all under the same literature, really. Like I said, 200 years ago, she wrote this. And, you know, it's not being remade because of the nostalgia. It's because we keep needing this type of story. It's the mirror that I always talk about. It's the mirror that we're looking at that always still, to this day, even from 1818, is still relevant. We're looking at that. And that's why we keep needing the Frankenstein or the bride stories. In this particular cultural moment, let's say, you got two filmmakers from total opposite sides, really.
Oh, yeah.
And they looked at that mirror at the same time, and what they saw, it was worth talking about. It was worth talking. Guillermo and Maggie both had deep, deep layers, just like Mary Shelley's original work did.
Yes.
And yeah, go ahead. Before we get into it, go ahead. What were you going to say right there, Coco?
Where to even start? I mean, I'll be honest with the freaks. We had Frankenstein on the schedule. Okay, so we wanted to kind of delve into the Father's Day, coming up. We did a bunch of mothers, movies, and things associated with mothers. So going into June, we were like, let's do a bunch of fathers. And father-son dynamic, Frankenstein came up kind of first on my list. I was thinking, oh, this is a great one to plug in there. But then I saw the trailer for The Bride when I went to Wuthering Heights at the movie theater, and I was so excited for this movie to come out. Now that I've seen I've seen both, what an incredibly dynamic, different we could layer this for hours if we wanted to, but the father-son relationship, focusing a lot on Victor's relationship with his father, first of all, in Frankenstein. They dive into that and his origin story a lot more. And then the sort of father and the creation of the monster, father-son aspect of that. Like how much of that dynamic was inherited, or I guess was passed on. Like his relationship with his father was really complex and traumatic. And then how much of that did he pass on to the creature as he sort of birthed this new being into life? So I guess focusing on Frankenstein, what did you think about that? What do you think about that father-son dynamic?
Yeah, you're kind of touching on it right here. Like you mentioned like the parallels. It's almost like these two films are totally opposite, but they are.
But parallel.
They're running parallel to each other. And Del Toro made a film about a creature asking, why was I brought into this world? And then Gyllenhaal made the film about a creature asking, why was I brought into this world for you? And there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there, I see. And yeah, I know you asked about the relationship with the father and the son, but you got to talk about Del Toro overall. Like, where do you even start with this guy? He's one of those directors that you don't just watch his movies, you inhabit them. Like, we are a part of Frankenstein. I felt like from the opening scene that I was sucked in. I was in this. I'm immersed in his world. He's done this. Pan's Labyrinth, The Shape of Water with Doug Jones, which, by the way, we did a whole episode on that with an interview with Doug Jones. It got a couple 100,000 views now. Go check that out.
Our
amazing
best video yet is the clip of just interviewing Doug Jones. It was amazing.
Yeah, but he did Crimson Peak. We can go on, but this man genuinely believes monsters need love, and that's a father-son dynamic right there already.
Yeah,
it's not a bit. It's his actual theology, So, do you think there's any other director out there that could pull this off with the same sincerity that Guillermo del Toro did? Because I don't think there is one.
Yeah. Oh, I think we were all waiting centuries before Guillermo del Toro came in our mind or into the world. We were all waiting for his version of Frankenstein. I think it was like, this had to happen. This was like destiny or fate, or like, it wouldn't have been complete without it. So that, first of all, and the visuals of this movie, the parallels that people have done where they show Renaissance paintings, famous Renaissance paintings with scenes of this movie, it really is like a living painting. It's so incredibly immersive. I love that. And I just have to point out Christoph Waltz. Yeah, is how he goes, and all of the movies that he's been in those. He's just one of my favorite. He's just good in everything that he does. But his portrayal, Heinrich Harlander, that he plays in this movie, when he came on the screen, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good movie.
This movie is heavy.
Yeah,
it's a heavy in a good way, though. The best kind of way, am I right? Like, Guillermo, he approaches Frankenstein, and you know from the rest of the movies and stuff that he makes that he's going to go from the creature's perspective. He's not here to make us scared of this monster. He's here to make us love him and then break our damn hearts. But he adds to all of this with, like we said, the texture, the shadows, the gothic romanticism, because that's what this whole thing is. Sucks you in. And it makes you feel that it's not easy to do. Most retellings make the creature scary because it's safer. It's easy. That's the easy road. I could make a Frankenstein movie right now and make Frankenstein scary, and I'm in line with everybody else. But not him, not Del Toro. Got a lot of respect for that. Mm-hmm. Let's not shade Maggie Gyllenhaal because total opposite side, and I thought hers was a masterpiece too. You know, first of all, she did The Lost Daughter. That was her directorial debut. Mm-hmm. And if you slept on that film, go find it this weekend. Me and Coco will wait, all right? But she came out of the gate as a director with no interest in being comfortable. None.
Oh, my God.
None in making you comfortable. She don't want to make you comfortable at home. From the beginning of The Bride, I kind of sat up. I'm not going to lie. I put the movie on a couple nights ago, and 5 minutes in, I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. I did. I turned it off.
I know that. I want to give this my full attention. I did that too.
I did. And she comes out in The Bride, centering on the Bride of Frankenstein, you know, a character that's historically been the most underwritten, kind of dismissed, literally silent character in the whole mythology, you know? But she exists for maybe 3 minutes of screen in the 1935 original, which I will make another hot take, Boris Karloff's best Frankenstein ever right there in 1935 version. But, you know, for 3 minutes, Coco, 3 minutes for a character named in the title?
Yeah. But I love the subtle nods to those earlier references, like the hairdo and the little curls, the little like 20s curls. I mean, you could see like where she took that and wanted that thread to, you know, take a nod to, or, you know, just give it some creative symbolism in there of the previous references to The Bride. But I got excited about this movie, The Bride, from the trailer, like I said, but then I listened to an interview with Maggie on a podcast. I think maybe Smartless was the one I was listening to hear her describe her thought process in coming to this movie of wanting to explore the dynamic experience of being created, but also for what purpose and I didn't ask for this, and how she plopped that into this whole 1930s mobster world. And I mean, just it's absolute genius to me. But isn't it interesting? You know, we get to look at Frankenstein in one time period, and we get to look at The Bride, and it's a completely different time period, and how those different environmental aspects just come into play with the characters. I love that.
I love that Maggie looked at The Bride and thought about what I mentioned. You know, she's never done anything to be a star character, but Maggie took that and said, no. What is her story?
Yeah.
What does she want? Who is she when nobody's defining her? And I think that's a genuine, radical act in a franchise built around the male. It's built around Frankenstein.
Yes. You know? I would have to say that's one of my favorite things about this movie. I mean, it's very female power, very much like, don't mess with this lady. She is out for blood, and I kind of love it. So the deaths, the murders, there's all kinds of murders happening throughout this movie, but they're almost satisfying. Yeah. Not to seem like a psychopath, because I wouldn't go out and murder anybody for any reason, but it's kind of that vigilante. It kind of reminds me of Birds of Prey, or like Margot Robbie in Harley Quinn. You know, it's almost like, it's not good to kill. It's not good to kill. We don't like it, but this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
We kind of love this you know, vengeance that's happening right now. And that Frankenstein is a character that supports her and loves his bride kind of almost in an elevated way. Like, she's not made for me. This creature is somebody all her own, and I am just happy to be a part of it. And I'm just proud of who she's becoming. And I'm just excited to be here. And you watch that play out in the movie. I said there's something really sexy about those moments. And I think those like romantic-y novels, I mean, people who get into that kind of thing, they know what I'm talking about, where the shadow daddy character is watching the female character come into her own. And instead of him being like, uh-oh, I can't control this, I'm scared, I got to put a kibosh on it, he's like, wink, like super proud of his girl. And you see that happen a couple of times in this movie. It's the best. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, and that's Christian Bale playing Frankenstein, and playing it incredibly, might I add.
So good.
But
can't get over it.
I love that you mentioned it, and the bride gets created and is expected immediately to fulfill a role that she never agreed to, right?
Right.
That's not science fiction. That's a Tuesday for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Gyllenhaal is making a horror film where the horror is expectation, ownership, the violence of being made for someone else's purpose. That's a sharp knife she's working with right there, because you know,
and the character just comes in and blows everything up. I mean, everybody else is trying to create, including the detectives who are hunting them down. She's just there causing absolute chaos. It reminds me of like the goddess Kali, or the goddess of birth and creation is also the goddess of destruction and chaos.
Yeah.
And they're not different or separate. They're the same. And that's kind of what you get in this movie, because she's out of control. And by the way, to point that out, we have to talk about the possession of Mary Shelley. The fact that Mary Shelley is a character in this movie.
Yes.
Another fantastic element I cannot wrap my head around. I was thrilled to see how that played a part in everything, where she was like, where's your bite, girl? And
I love that.
That back and forth and push and pull. Oh,
I thought that I meant to mention that when we were talking about Mary Shelley there a minute ago, but thank you for bringing that up, because I thought it was a radical idea to put into a movie like that. I thought it was different. I don't think I've seen this. Like, you've seen movies with narrators and stuff like that, but I don't think you've seen it like it was almost like a channeling. This is what I look at channeling and think of.
It was a possession, and it was like breaking the fourth wall, right? Because there's this confusing moment. I mean, and I don't even know if it really matters or if you have to make sense of it, but I remember, you know, in the beginning, kind of as you're seeing this play out, I was like, how does this work? Because Mary Shelley is real. Like, she's the writer. So are these her characters, or are these real people? Where is the wall? And it doesn't exist. Like, the fourth wall is gone, and now it's all part of the same story. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Let's talk about some of the themes that are in both movies, really. It's abandonment. That's the origin for all of this, really. Both creatures are abandoned the moment they become inconvenient. You know, watch how the director, both of them, they linger on those moments, or they don't. It's fun to see, but beauty is a currency and a trap. You know, the bride's supposed to be beautiful by design for the creature's benefit. Maggie, she digs into that hard.
Yes.
I love that. You know,
those aspects.
Who gets to define the monster? You know, that's the whole ball game in Del Toro's version. Expect that question to sit in every single frame when you watch it. If you haven't seen this yet, first of all, what are you doing? But go watch it. And if you have seen it, go watch these again, because they're worth it. And you said layers upon layers upon layers. Oh my God, it's there. Yeah. And like I said, it's the mirror. It's the mirror that we are looking at. And it's still relevant with some literature that was written 200 years ago.
I know,
and not in a good way. Not in a good way, though. You know? But yeah.
For sure. It reminds me of when I saw a production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which used a lot of the songs and the storyline of the Disney version of the movie. But the part where it goes, who is the monster and who is the man? Because the point is supposed to be, you think Quasimodo is the monster. No, it's Frollo, obviously. You know, but that's what comes up in these themes, right? Is the same idea. Well, you're supposed to think that this creation that was dead and reanimated and is clearly powerful, questionably intelligent, and brutal at times. But who is the monster? The one that created him, or the one that is is supposedly the monster? Which is why I think that the Frankenstein gets mixed up, right? I think we've all figured it out by now, but for a long time it was like, oh, Frankenstein is the monster. No, Frankenstein was the doctor who created him. Yes. And we're clear about that now, but I think there was a long time where that was confused because, and then there you get back into the whole father-son dynamic, taking his father's name, right, as his own, and where that plays into the symbolism of it all.
The patriarchy, once again. The patriarchy kicking in once again. But here, let's talk about that a little further, and let me throw the question out there to the freaks, because I mentioned it earlier. You got two different stories, really. You got the, I'm created, and then I was created for somebody. Like, there's two different sides to this. You got for one creature asking why he exists, and the other asking why she's made for somebody else.
Yeah.
Where? The freaks out there, where are you at in this part of your life? Like, what side of those are you going to run to? Where are you? Where are you, Coco?
This is the theme of that. Like, what was I created? What was I made for? It's basically the Barbie movie. Again, if you want to connect it to another storyline, completely different movie. But the idea that Barbie is struggling with her identity at the end of that movie, and supposedly she was created for. And she's struggling with it because she's like, but what about me? What do I want? Who am I really? Yeah. And that ties into some folklore that I always tell, the story of Blodeuwedd. It was a woman who was made of flowers for her husband because he was cursed to not be able to have a woman be able to be married to a woman of the earth. So she was magically created of flowers just for him so that he would have a wife. And then her story is complex because she decides she doesn't want to be married to him. She fell in love with somebody else. And a lot of times she becomes the villain of the story. Relating this to the bride. So stick with me here for a second. But she supposedly is the villain of the story because she tries to kill her husband so she can be with her lover. When in reality, she's just owning who she is and trying to figure out, if I wasn't made for this purpose, or if I was made for this purpose, but I don't want to be, do I get to choose? Do I get to follow my own path, my own destiny?
Yeah. Love that. That's a great story. Where's that from?
That is in I think it's the third branch of the Mabinogi in the Welsh mythology. So it's over 1,000 years old story. Blodeuwedd. You guys.
Probably credible source. That's over 1,000 years old. That's probably credible there. That's credible. What's your final thoughts here on the bride and Frankenstein?
Well, my final thoughts, because we've talked a lot about the in-depth emotional symbolism and connection of these movies, but I cannot go away without mentioning the performances of Jesse Buckley. I mean, we talked about her in Hamnet. To see her in this role of the bride, holy cow. So many performances are good, but this is next level. You guys, mark my words, Jesse Buckley, we've got to keep an eye on this woman. She is going places like nothing. She might be the next Meryl Streep. Like, we're going to be just falling head over heels over her performances in the future, because this role absolutely pushed her to the limits of everything that's possible. I could not believe it. I really couldn't. The dance sequence, when they get into the dance, I mean, incredible. I just loved every second of it. And then when Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't know if I realized he was in this movie, but when I saw him on the screen as they're watching him perform as a movie star, I said to my husband, "Oh, look, she put her brother in the movie. How nice."
Yes.
Nice for him. Maybe he just wasn't doing anything right now. But
he needed a paycheck. That's what it was. He needed some money.
You need some money?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe that.
No, he's doing fine.
Hey,
he's all good.
Jesse Buckley, you're right about that. She's going to be in a couple of upcoming movies. 3 Incestuous Sisters, Audrey Niffenegger's novel, follows 3 sisters living in isolation. Dakota Johnson, Jesse Buckley, Josh O'Connor, Mick Jagger just got cast in this.
Ooh.
Is one of these roles. So we got to check that out. You're right though. I think that she's incredible. She was incredible in this movie. And
incredible.
Yeah, but you didn't say anything that I wouldn't say. You didn't say anything that I was not going to say for my final thoughts. But I will say this, because we're not saying this loudly enough right now. And we are in a monster renaissance right now. I don't mean that in a spooky Halloween, whatever kind of way. I mean it in a culturally, we're obsessed right now with re-examining and taking a look at who the monsters are or were in all the stories we've ever been told. Maleficent, Wicked, Joker, the villain origin story as a genre is taking over now. I mean, we love the villains, right? But they've got depth. They've got layers. And that's what Del Toro and Gyllenhaal, it feels like they're doing different. You know, they're more serious and less franchise-minded. Mm-hmm. They don't care about making 4 Frankenstein movies or a trilogy of The Bride. They don't care about it. They're not doing that.
No. This is going to stand the test of time all on its own. I mean, it's going to have people referencing it, questioning it, diving into all the layers of it, creating new ideas and angles behind it. I mean, we didn't even mention this, but we could go into more of the blemish, like the idea that the bride, she had right out the gate this black mark on her face that becomes something that all of the girls start emulating because she started a revolution. And to me, that's significant because perfectionism and beauty are all so important to our culture. To watch that play out in the movie as well, it's a whole other side to it that we could dive into for another hour.
Oh, yeah. And we're not going to do it here. We may do it another day. But, yeah, the creature in Frankenstein is literally a person built by someone else's ambition and then left to survive in a world that finds him repulsive. Tell me that don't hit different right now in 2026. Let that sit in for a minute. And let's think about that. But let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up because you're right. If I keep going, I'll pull up another idea and we'll go off on it. But we can say that for another day. And once again, Boris Karloff, best one ever.
Yeah.
Come at me. I don't think you will. What do you got? Any hot takes over there, Coco? You got anything?
I think that all the Frankensteins in both movies did a fantastic job as well. And I mean, you mentioned Christian Bale being Frankenstein in The Bride, but what I love about his role is he really kept directing the attention or the focus back on her, and it made his performance better for it, not shadowed at all, right?
One more hot take from me, and then we'll get out of here. But I think The Bride, it might be. This is tough. The most important, I'm not even going to say one of, I think it is the most important film in the franchise's history.
I would agree.
That's a hot take. I mean, how can you get bigger than Frankenstein himself? But I think this is it because I think it's all there. And one more thing for you. If you haven't read Mary Shelley's novel, this is your sign. Go read the book. It's short. It's quick. And then you'll have a different outlook on both of these films. But that's going to do it for this episode of Parallel Frequencies. I'm Just Blane. She is Coco. You are the freaks. And we will see you on the other side.